Hello and welcome to the BlockSolid podcast, where we talk about the evolution of blockchain technologies that enhance and revolutionize the world of real estate as we know it, and how we, the owners, the buyers, the renters, the investors, and the entrepreneurs can benefit from it all. I'm Yael Tamar, CEO and co-founder at SolidBlock. We pioneered real estate tokenization, and I'd like to welcome May Mahboob. Hi, May. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? So excited to be here today.
So excited to have you here. I met you at a conference where was that?
LA Blockchain Summit.
LA Blockchain Summit, right? And you traveled from afar as well, right? You're from Texas.
I am.
Amazing. All right. So you're the co-founder and president at MBD Financials, the Decentralized, Photorealistic Metaverse Business District, right?
It is.
And we're going to unpack that in a minute. But I was just super excited because I found out that your startup, which recently launched or is about to launch like the main product, and we'll talk about that, is a combination of Metaverse, which is exciting new development, and real estate kind of type of world in which where I live, and business, which is kind of the whole reason behind pretty much any sort of interaction online that businesses have, any kind of the continuation of digitization. And I got really excited because I felt like this metaverse hype was lacking the direction in which your startup is going. So I immediately said, let's get on the podcast and let's give a taste a little bit of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right on. That's one of the biggest things I feel like was missing in the market as well. So as between my business partner and I, as we were thinking of what can we really do to scale a lot of, especially the brick and mortar, coming from brick and mortar industry, businesses impact how our socioeconomic status is. So I'm super excited to talk about it and talk about the industry and where it's going. So
amazing. Yeah. Yay. All right. So let's start just with your background, because I think you have a really interesting combination of tech and also social enterprise and things like that. So just give us some elevator pitch on who May is.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Bangladesh. My parents relocated here when I was very young, so grew up in New York City, then relocated to Dallas actually almost 2 decades ago. So I've been in Dallas ever since. But I started my career in the brick and mortar industry, so especially in the beauty industry. So I have several other companies. I am one of the partners that took Lush Cosmetics to Singapore, so lived there for a little bit. And throughout my work, I've always valued, looking at brand loyalty and what really engages consumers to interact with specific brands and build that following. And that's what brought me to the social impact piece. Why not purchase products that make an impact in the world and that do good in the world? So I've done quite a bit of social impact work, especially in Southeast Asia and Africa, around education for women and children, going into microfinance for especially females that are trying to become entrepreneurs or be able to feed their families as an additional income in developing countries. So as I started getting in, that's where I got into the tech world. So started working with especially government contracting and solutions around mixed reality technology, which is a mix of virtual reality and augmented reality. So solutions that simplify processes for organization. And that's where we were already working in the blockchain and got into MBD Financials to bridge that gap between accessibility, technology, and finance.
I love it. So do you view the issue of lack of accessibility a result of maybe bad user experience? Like you could access certain things, but you don't know where to find them, or it's not intuitive to people in around the world?
Absolutely. So I think it has a lot to do with how we create products, right?
Mhm.
As from visionaries to being part of the UI and UX user interface and more of the back end, the programming that goes behind it, we assume that the consumers or the end user understands everything and is technologically advanced.
Mhm.
But what we don't focus on is if we really want to scale and grow our user adoption and accessibility, that we need to simplify processes and we need to have multiple ways that users are able to interact. So it's going back to the basics and not just simplification, but it's that language barrier, that communication barrier that comes in. At the same time, without accessibility, we won't have really achieved mass adoption.
Got it. I find it so fascinating in the metaverse industry and in general is that we kind of, when we moved online, we kind of moved from this colorful 3D world into a 2D world largely. And the interaction, however, is super helpful in creating a lot of business opportunities. Of course, you know, the internet is endless, right? As we grow accustomed to that kind of world and communication, we like, I understand obviously, especially in COVID, that is super limited and you know you're kind of all zoomed out. And then I wonder if the metaverse will give us the opportunity of kind of combine experiential type of well, I don't know if I should say experiential experiences, but basically, you know, combine the real world experiences with the opportunity to connect digitally, connect online with businesses and with individuals. And I wonder really if that's what's kind of what's going to be the next step for the development of digital communication.
I absolutely agree that it will be. So that's where mixed reality will actually come into play. We've already seen that in cars where now windshields are being created with the AR technology in it, right? So when you think about whether, you know, when I think there's a huge assumption that metaverse is just wearing VR headsets and roaming around this virtual world and the social aspect, and that's all that you're able to do, but not necessarily, right?
Oh,
Metaverses existed way long before we were even calling it a metaverse. So if you look at gaming, any metaverse really is, all it is anywhere where individuals are able to interact and their digital assets that they're able to utilize. Now we're literally bridging that gap between the real world and the virtual world, so the assets are relatable within the real world as well.
cool. So give me a breakdown then of what metaverse really is. We understand what it's not only, right? This gaming and virtual world where people are roaming around trying to connect there, which I think is kind of like the Facebook, you know, 3.0 type of thing, you know, social or maybe a little bit of business, because you do see shops and Decentralized and so on and so forth, right? And some events that people are holding. So it's like a combo for me of meetup.com, facebook.com, and maybe Innovator or something like that, right? But and also like Amazon, whatever. So, but I understand that the metaverse is extending much more beyond. So, can you give us, you know, once and for all, a good definition of what it is?
Yeah, so the best way to really explain what the metaverse is for people that still quite don't understand it, it's a virtual environment where you're able to interact with others in whether it's a closed environment or entire world in itself, right? So if you've ever played any type of PlayStation or Xbox games where you put your headsets on and you were able to play with other friends and talk to them from halfway across the world or in different cities, then that's a metaverse. So all of the digital assets that you purchased with your Xbox points, those are actual assets that you're able to use in the game. So Fortnite, you've got League of Legends, they're all metaverses at the end of the day. So I think it's the hype. Once Meta kind of changed their name and called it Metaverse with these avatars and characters, it redefined, okay, this is what the Metaverse is supposed to be. And one of the things that where so I have a 7-year-old who one of the best ways we connected was through Minecraft and Roblox. So I've been playing Roblox with him since he was actually 4. So for a few years now, and I think they have successfully launched a full entire metaverse that not only users and consumers are able to take part in, but from a developer perspective as well.
I love it. My 7-year-old yesterday, actually, I have a 7 and a 10-year-old. And the 7-year-old and I were laughing because we found a meme online that said, Mom, I can't pause my online game. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you all the time, So I can't Roblox, I can't pause it. It goes on without me, whether I'm there or not, just like life. So
exactly.
So that's what, for me, that's what it seems like Metaverse, that's what it is. It's kind of like things just like in life go on with or without me. And when I show up, I bring something of myself, or I buy something, or I interact in some way, and then I leave, and other people are there. So that's what it is. But we understand the gaming part. How now we apply the same concept to creating business opportunities and connecting people with this mindset of making more income, or maybe social enterprise.
Yeah. So if you really look at organizations, even in the United States, just yesterday, I actually read somewhere where one of the beauty brands, Morphe, they closed down all of their locations globally, and from Forma brands. So that's just one of the very upcoming new brands. I mean, they just launched their products, about 5-6 years ago. I remember when it was like the next best thing, right? Yes. So more and more brick and mortar locations are closing down, and I think that's a huge COVID impact, right? So it's the fact that everything has gone online, and it is ultimately operational wise, businesses are able to flourish more. So that's where e-commerce and Amazon sales have skyrocketed. So I think how else to really get those consumers to engage a bit more within this virtual e-commerce site versus having to just search for products. I mean, we saw evolution when you have grocery stores and you were able to order online and then just have it delivered to your car, or Uber Eats and Uber delivery kind of came out, right? So I think this is just the next step in innovation in regards to where it's moving towards and where we're going to see technology in itself, where people will be able to interact with the products and the services and be able to, whether even if you're halfway across the world.
I love it. Like you can really right away connect with somebody from that company. Explain to me what this is, especially when consumers are conscious, right? They want to know who's behind the product. So that's really helpful, really. If there's somebody out there and it's not a chat, it's a real person. So
exactly.
I think, so this is actually that's what I'm excited about seeing, and I'm waiting for that to happen, and really to engage in a meaningful way with the brands that I like. And I love Lush Cosmetics, by the way. They're like 95% vegan, which is what I am, and so I always that's one of my favorites out there. But yeah, all right, so let's jump into how your company fits into the realm of the metaverse, and what is your goal with MBD?
Yeah, so I think, like I kind of mentioned, every single person's socioeconomic status starts with businesses, right? So whether you work for an organization, and businesses doesn't have to be retailers. I mean, when you look at even education institutions, they're still a business at the end of the day. It revolves around revenue. How do we generate revenue? There's always a product or a service to sell. And that's part of what our ecosystem is. So whether you want to be a part of it from a working perspective and being able to earn the same amount, equality, gender, whether it's gender equality or equality based off of talent versus where you're regionally located, and having that opportunity even from an operational perspective when talent is hard to come by, hiring the right talent. So everything on chain makes it even easier for organizations to be able to source that talent, or entrepreneurs, if they want to open up a shop, it doesn't cost $200,000, $300,000 and this entire brick and mortar location where they could actually virtually have a location. Now you're able to geotag it in the real world where people are still able to see it, and still have that marketing presence. So I think entry to barrier is much less.
Yeah, amazing. So tell me more about kind of the type of clients or participants that you have or that you are attracting now, and what they'll be able to do with this and how they'll be able to create business.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're doing is that one of the first solutions we're launching is a NFT boulevard, which is not just an NFT marketplace. The way we see it is that almost every other project and NFT marketplaces will become the e-commerce of the NFT world. So NFTs, you could create non-fungible tokens into digital twins of products and services. And one of the things that we're doing is that we're able to take those, so you can open up a shop. So we're accommodating these businesses and organizations, and we're taking a lot of solutions that are already there, CRM system, inventory, connecting those to these digital products and services. And consumers are able to not only interact, but create that brand loyalty structure online as well. So they're being rewarded for any type of activities and engagements. But one of the biggest parts of it is to be able to help individuals across the globe, especially in developing countries. So how do we do that? Where individuals, once we connect with, let's say, that Change grocery store, they have their loyalty structure, their point structure, and we're creating a digital twin of it within this environment, where individuals are able to earn these gems, similar to Roblox was a huge inspiration for me. So they earn MBD gems, and these gems could be traded in for actual food or services. So that ultimately disrupts the cycle of poverty, inherited poverty, as you like to call it. So you're able to, for activities, earn rewards in various forms of ways.
Got it. That's really cool. And what kind of interest are you getting right now?
We have a tremendous amount of NFT projects that are looking to onboard with us. We have quite a bit of businesses that have shown a huge interest, because one way or another, why not be, if it doesn't cost you anything to be part of giving back in a one way, and build that branding, because whether you're a software company or whether you're a product and service organization, branding and brand loyalty ultimately comes whether you're doing B2B or B2B2C products, right? So being able to be part of something much larger and part of the new innovation, everybody wants to be a part of.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, I'm super excited about what you're building. Is there anything that you're specifically want to share with our audience, including any upcoming launches, calls to action, anything that you need help with, or the opposite, maybe you are that you are providing, some sort of an interesting value proposition for people to join?
Yeah, so whether you're individuals looking to get into this field, or as an entrepreneur interested, it's a great platform to be a part of and watch it grow with us. We'll have several phases with several products that would be launched. So DeFi would be next. Real estate will implement real estate solutions. And one of the greatest part about the project is we don't want to be the creators of everything. So we look at other projects to collaborate with, other innovation to be able to work together to provide the ultimate solution all under one platform. This is so new. This industry is so new. There's a piece of pie for everybody to take. And we don't see it as it's going to be us versus everybody else. So it's more, we see it as collaboration and creating that community and that economy, similarly to what Amazon did. So whether you're a project or whether you're an individual wanting to learn more or get into this space, feel free. It's mbdfinancials.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Twitter as well. All of our socials are there. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to chat and see how we can work together or share more about our platforms.
I love it. And I like the fact that you have also this user-generated content component. So, you know, content creators are always looking for great places where they can, you know, gain some, either start gaining popularity, which is where new platforms come in, usually an opportunity for someone to come in and get started, and also eventually be able to earn money with their content. And I feel personally that most platforms out there, there's a very big, catch-22 problem that if you start early, then it takes you a while until you see something. So, the development of this, you have to be there for a few years until you can actually connect with the brands, start making money and get sponsorships and things like that. And it's still unclear. It's not like you can estimate the amount of business that you're going to get next month. So I feel like there's always a gap in that market. If somebody can solve it, if there's a platform where you can combine, everything else. I don't want to create content on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and God knows what, right? So please give me some place where I can do content. So that's awesome. But you mentioned DeFi and real estate. Can you give us an overview of what those two aspects are?
Yeah. So with real estate being our actually next phase of the launch in itself, one of the goals is of the platform in itself is to be able to have real world utilities and real world products and services attached to it. Of course, we'll have the social aspect in it, but that's not one of our main focuses when we talk about businesses and being able to offer actual goods and products and services. We want to be able to do very similar things with real estate as well. So when you look at whether it's real estate investment, having a location in one of our in one of the blocks of the district. So, for example, I'm collaborating with a project and they're creating a music district in the metaverse. So, having a music district within our ecosystem, it's real estate within the metaverse as well. But one of the things that we want to be able to do is that's part of our roadmap is being able to geotag these locations in the real world as well. So whether it's marketing or whether it's a real world real estate that you want to have where individuals are able to collaborate, from engineers to home buyers, where they're able to go into this virtual environment and be able to pick out colors or have investment opportunities. That also ties in to being like within the US, you're able to invest your 401k towards real estate assets. So if you tie that into tokenomics, similarly to what you're doing, that's where a lot of the collaboration comes in, that there are various types of organizations that are looking at how can I really utilize real estate in regards to investment opportunities. And whether it's more credit investors or global investors looking to have some some sort of return on it, you're able to do that in a tokenized environment. So having those digital assets, a virtual twin of the real world assets, adds that additional value. So those are some of the things that we're looking at, even for real estate sale. Having those digital assets in the in a virtual world as well as the real world, you could take those business concepts to the next level. For example, Airbnb. I mean, who knows where the technology is going to go, where NFTs could open actual doors, right? Unlock doors and cars in that sense, and having those added features. So I think this is the very first step to integrate some of the real world utilities with the virtual world utility to be able to provide that tangible use case.
Wow, I love it. So I think that's kind of the slogan for this podcast, is providing a tangible use case for the metaverse, which a lot of people think is lacking. So except gaming, of course, because that's the number one, and nobody can disagree with that. But we're looking for innovation and something new that has not existed, like you said, in the past X number of years, right? So that's really, really cool. I'm so excited you came on and told everybody about the metaverse and what you guys are doing on it.
Yeah, I am too. I think, I speak at a lot of these events and talk about this a lot. And one of the funniest thing is I spoke about this entire brand loyalty and how things are kind of shifting within the retail space. And I've had so many people reach out there right after Starbucks kind of launched the first use case with what brand loyalty and NFTs could do. And they were like, oh my God, you were right. I was like, I'm telling you, NFTs, everything is moving towards NFTs. That's the very beginning of everything. And metaverse, it's, whether we like it or not, it's gonna be a part of what we do on a regular basis in some form of way. So it's great to start learning more about it, and the more people we share it with and simplify it, I think it doesn't become as intimidating.
I agree. And like, I crave for this world where my days are sometimes like a blur. No, I don't crave for that world. It's just, my days are like a blur of Zoom calls, and it's like, here's a calendar, it's like this, and then my months are a blur of conferences, and I go to a conference and I meet a bunch of people, and then I do have some nice Excels and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, you do meet amazing people all throughout, and like, there's no like this virtual Rolodex of associations, because we have memories by associations and we make connections and friends, but there's an overload. And I crave for this world where I enter this, like, my space, which kind of like a social network which used to be called MySpace, but it's my business space. I have here's my, if I want to go back to LA blockchain conference where I met a bunch of people, then I just enter that and I can interact, like, for example, over there. And like, I have, my customers are here and my partners are here, and I can, for me, that would be such a better way to interact than have this endless stream of emails, which is archived or whatever on one side, and then there's a calendar on the other side, there's summaries over here, and you're kind of like lost and running around and your brain is on fire. So if we want to extinguish the fire in your brain, you should organize things in a way that your brain can understand, right? So,
oh my God, you're speaking my language. I always say that. I was like, you know what the hardest thing about these conferences are? It's being able to reach back out to everybody you spoke with, unless someone reaches out to you. You're like, oh my God, I've been meaning to chat with you about it. So I completely agree with you, because it's all of these CRMs and all of these like project management tools, and then you have your emails, and the more technology that we have, I feel like the more complicated we make our lives. But if there was one place where you were able to remember it through memory, or just be able to walk down a block, it's like I'm walking down the educational block, right? Boulevard, Education Boulevard, and anything and everything I need in regards to education's there, or I'm walking down this chain store and this is exactly what I need, and I'm able to shop around and find it without leaving the house. I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming over. And I'll see you soon in one of those blockchain conferences we love so much, right?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks. See you. Have a great day. See
You too.
Thanks. Bye. So thank you for joining me on the BlockSolid podcast today. And you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or by visiting the website at solidblog.co/podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review, spread the word.